as the slide says, today we'll be seeing on how you can master the admin console. All right. First of all, let me just introduce myself. I'm Dheeraj, and I'm a product expert at Zoho Mail, and I'm very glad to meet all of you today. Joining me today is going to be Sriram Vasu, who's a technical support engineer in Zoho Mail, and he'll be helping all of you with all of your technical queries during the Q&A section. So let's see what we'll be covering today. So first of all, we'll see how you can manage your domain and organization. Next, we'll see how you can manage your users in groups. Then we'll be seeing on how you can migrate your data using different protocols in Zoho Mail. We'll be seeing on what email complaint policies are. We'll see how you can control spam emails for all of your organization users. We'll see what e-discovery is, and we'll see how you can back up your emails. And at last, we'll have a Q&A section with Sriram Vasu. All right. So let's jump right into our Zoho Mail's admin console. All right. So to access Zoho Mail's admin console, you can go to your Zoho Mail application, which is mail.zoho.com. And if you click your avatar right here, you'll be able to see admin console. This button is only available for super admins and administrators only. So if you're an admin or a super admin in your organization, you'll be able to access the admin console with this button. So once you click that, you'll be redirected to your admin console. All right. So first up, as we discussed in the agenda, we'll be seeing what domain-based settings you can edit and manage in Zoho Mail. All right. So we'll be seeing what subdomain stripping is. We'll be seeing what domain alias is, what catch-all address is, and what a domain disclaimer is. All right. So for all of these domain settings, you can click the domains. And if you see here, I've added multiple domains in my organization, but let me just choose the primary domain, which is zilka.com. And under zilka.com, if you go to advanced settings, you'll be able to see subdomain stripping, domain aliasing, catch-all address, and domain disclaimer. All right. So first up, what is a subdomain stripping? Basically, if let's just say in my organization, I have the domain zilka.com, and all of the email addresses right now will be created in my organization will be created in the format at the rate of zilka.com. Am I right? So let's just say if anyone sends an email to me in the with my subdomain, which can be mail.zilka.com, or it could be workplace.zilka.com or anything. So if any one of my client or any one of my customers sends me an email with the subdomain, it will be automatically diverted to the primary domain, and all of the users who's under the Zilka, who is under the primary domain, will be able to receive this email. So if people are going to be sending emails to Dheeraj at mail.zilka.com, I'll be receiving the email at dheeraj@zilka.com. All right. Next up, we'll see what domain aliasing is. So domain aliasing, let's just say you have an organization with 200 users, all right? And you have 3 domains configured in your organization. It can be .in, .com, and .tech, all right? So for users to be able to receive emails with all of the domains, I have to go to each individual user settings, and I have to configure email aliases for them. So it can be tedious sometimes, but if you configure domain aliases under any primary domain, all of the emails which are being sent to all of the 3 domains will be diverted to the primary domain. All right. So if you see here, I have multiple domains added here. All right. So if I go to zilka.com and if I click domain aliasing, I can add any one of the domains here. All right. So if people are going to be sending emails to testing.com, I'll be receiving emails at zilka.com. All right. Next up, catch-all address. So let's take another example. Let's assume one of your customers tries to send you an email, but due to some error, he has misspelled your email address. All right. He has only misspelled the username, but has not misspelled the domain name. So in this case, unless the customer notices that they have sent the email to a wrong email address, both the sender and the recipient will be waiting for a response from each other, correct? But we can avoid that. Basically, if we set a catch-all address, any email which is being sent to an invalid email address or a misspelled email address will be delivered to this catch-all address. So right now, all of the invalid emails, according to this organization, will be delivered to alia.finance@zilko.com. Then Alia can choose to send the email to the right email address from her mailbox. All right. So that is what a catch-all address is. Next, a domain disclaimer. Domain disclaimer is basically, determines the authenticity of the emails which is being sent from an organization. Similarly, like a signature, whenever an email is being sent out of your organization, this domain disclaimer will be automatically appended in the bottom of your email. So when an organization receives this email, they can check the authenticity of the email which is being received by them. All right. Next up, let's move to organization settings. Under organization settings, we'll be seeing how to set up a welcome email template, how we can format a display name and an email address in your organization, how we can see suspicion login alerts, and what S-MIME is. All right. So to do that, we have to go to the organizations tab in the admin console. Now, the first up, we were talking about the welcome email template, correct? So let's take another example. You have a new recruit in your organization, all right? So it can be an intern or it can be an employee. So hence, in this case, you'll be automatically, creating an email address for them, correct? So since he's a very new recruit, he or she wouldn't be able to wouldn't know the email policies and the organization concerns and the do's and don'ts of your organization, correct? So in that case, you have to individually send them an email from your mailbox, explaining about your legacy, about your organization's legacy, about your company's policies and the vision forward. But what if I tell you can automate these emails? So whenever a user account is created, an automated email is already sent to the customer, to the new recruits mailbox. So to do that, you can configure a welcome email template. You can introduce the welcome email template as welcome to our organization and have the sender's email address as welcome. It is, it's entirely upon your preference. And the subject can also be welcome to our organization. And over here, you can talk about all of your organization's policies, the do's and don'ts, and the legacy of your organization, and everything the new recruit needs to know before joining your organization. All right. Next up, we have signature template. So basically, a signature template, when it's set for an organization, you're basically determining the default signature format for all of your users to send emails with. All right. Similarly, display name format and email address format. When you're creating a user, you'll be actually configuring and formulating the display name format and the email address format. When you're creating a user, the user's email address will be created as per this format right here: the first name with a dot and with the last name at your domain.com. You can even choose if the first name it could be differentiated with underscore or a hyphen. All right. Similarly, the display name, you're basically just choosing the format in which a user's display name must be displayed. It can be first name or last name, or it can be last name and first name. All right. Next up, we have suspicion login alerts. So to check the suspicion login alerts, you have to come to security and compliance, click on security and click suspicion login. So basically in Zoho Mail, all of our backend systems validates each of your users' login. All right. So whenever it finds a login suspicious, the organization admin and the user will be notified immediately to check the authenticity of this login. If they find it suspicious, they can easily take effective measures to prevent any account compromises. All right. So if you can see here, multiple users in my organization have tried to access access their account with different IP addresses, with a different location, and each suspicion login alert, you'll be able to see the login time of that particular account. All right. Now, moving on to the next one, we have SMIME. Basically, SMIME is a certification which each user can upload to their organization, where admins can actually upload to their organization. All right. When an email is sent from your organization, from any user, the recipient organization actually screens for this email and will screen the SMIME certificate. Once the screening is done, they will validate your email as an authentic email and will be delivered to the mailboxes. Next up, moving on forward, we'll see how we can actually manage the users in your organization. All right. We'll be seeing what are all the roles and privileges of each user. We'll be seeing what are the different, how we can set up a signature, how we can set up out of office, how we can set up email aliases, how we can set up email forwarding, determine the login IP addresses for each of this user, and set up a two-factor authentication for this user, and all of the anti-spam settings for each user. All right. Now, let's discuss on what are all the roles and roles inside an organization. All right. So we have basically 5 user roles in an organization. It's a super admin, administrator, user management admin, spam control admin, and a help desk admin. Super administrator is the one who actually first sets up your organization. He has access to all of these pages and has access to the entire organization and can edit or change any setting in your organization. All right. Administrator has almost all the access as the super administrator, except some critical operations such as a subscription cancellation, something like that. So basically, administrators can be assigned in your organization. So the super admin can assign a few, 2 or 3 admins in their organization to manage, to access their admin console and manage the organization. All right. A user management admin is a person who has access only to the user's pane in the admin console. And here they will be able to manage all of the organization users and make any changes in their settings. A spam control admin is a person who has privileges to access the security and compliance tab alone. So they will be able to manage all of your anti-spam settings in your organization and see all of the quarantine emails. The help desk admin has access to the report section of your admin console and will also be able to see all of the blocked accounts, all of your email logs, and will also be able to check the audit logs of your organization. All right. So these are the 5 types of roles that are available in an organization. So now let's check on how we can set up signature, how we can set up out of office, how we can set up email aliases, and all other settings. All right. So basically, this is my user's pane. So if you can click on any user, you'll be able to first see all of the personal information of this user. You'll be able to see their first name, last name, their nickname, the contact information, and everything. Second, you'll be able to see which all groups this particular user is associated as. So if you can see here, alia.khan is actually a part of front-end developers. They're actually a part of payroll, Zilker campaigns, creators, and all other groups. And you'll also be able to see the role they are currently assigned in that particular group. Next up, email aliases. So let's just say alia.khan@zilker.com is a really huge email address. So, and I'm the only Alia in my entire organization. In that case, email, I can actually set up an email address as an alias where if I create it as alia@zilker.com, I'll be able to receive emails from both alia.khan and alia@zilker.com to the same mailbox. All right. So you can see here, I have multiple aliases. So using this alias, I can either send or receive emails. So I can, so Alia currently can send emails from alia.finance, ali@zilker.com, alia.khan, alia@zilker.com, and all other email addresses over here. From the admin console, you can also set up email forwarding. So any email which is being sent to alia.khan@zilker.com can be forwarded to any external address or internal address in your organization. If you can see here, I've already set up and verified these current email addresses: aaron.brown, abby@zilker.com, test1@zilker.com. So if I just enable this, all of the emails which are being sent to alia.khan@zilker.com will be delivered to aaron.brown@zilker.com. All right. Now, moving on, we'll be able to also see the email policy with which alia.khan is currently associated with. All right. Now, next up, we have delegated to. So what is mailbox delegation? So let's just say Alia is out for a on-site project and not be available to respond to any emails for a particular period. So what you can do is, if you switch on mailbox delegation, you'll be able to share Alia's mailbox to any one of your other users in your organization. So if you can see here, I've shared Alia's mailbox to Abby and Aaron. So out of these, I can actually also set permissions for Abby and Aaron, where they can read emails, write emails, send on behalf, and send as. So basically, right now, Abby has the permissions to send as emails as aliakhan@zilker.com. Right? Similarly, let's just take arrow@zilker.com. All right. Arrow will right now only be able to read emails which are being received at alia.khan's mailbox. All right. Next up, we have mailbox actions. So in mailbox actions, you'll be able to enable or disable services for this particular user. So I can disable the incoming, disable the outgoing, and I can also enable the IMAP or POP access, or even the active sync access. Next up, we have out of office. So in out of office, basically, if Alia is going to be out on a huge leave, on a very long leave, let's just say for 10 days, and many customers and clients would be emailing her in these 10 days. So to notify all of the customers or clients who have been contacting Alia, I can actually send them a templated response that Alia is going to be out of the office for this current week, and if you need immediate assistance, you can contact the alternate email address. So when you set up an out of office, you can set up the date range from which Alia is going to be unavailable from, and you can set set the subject of the email, and you can also write the email which has to be sent during this duration. Next up, I can also set a signature for each user right here. Right now, Alia, I can set regards Alia Khan, and I can also include the designation. So as an admin, because I'm setting this particular signature will be automatically appended whenever Alia composes an email. All right. Next up, we have anti-spam settings. In anti-spam settings, I can block email. So let's just say Alia has multiple spam emails which are being sent to her account. So if she contacts me as an admin, I can currently block that particular domain or block that particular email address. All right. Next up, we'll be able to see what storage plan is currently assigned to Alia right here. Next up, we have security. Under security, you have an option to change passwords, change the login email address. Similarly, we have already discussed S-MIME, and we have also an option to reset the TFA. So let's just say Alia forgets her credentials and is not able to log into her account. As an admin, you'll be able to auto-generate or set a unique password for logging for Alia to access their account at that particular time. Once Alia accesses their account with that credentials which the admin is setting it for, they'll also be able to change their password as per a user's privacy policy when this option is enabled. All right. All right. Next up, we'll be seeing on how you can manage groups in your admin console. All right. Under group management, you'll be able to see, we'll be seeing what group member role is. We'll be seeing what are all the spam settings for a group. What are all the advanced spam settings? What are all the advanced settings you can tweak in your group? And we can see what the email restrictions and domain restrictions can be added inside a group. All right. So in my organization, I have a lot of groups currently configured inside. All right. So let me just go inside the first group. Once I click here, you'll be able to see all of the members who are actually a part of this group. So right now there are two roles which are given to a group user. All right. There is a moderator and a group member. So what does a moderator do? So basically, moderation in Zoho Mail, when an email is sent outside of the group's policy, you can either choose to deny this email or accept this email based upon the moderation link here. So moderation, put in layman terms, can be seen as a post office, where a postman, which is the moderator, can choose to deliver or reject these emails. All right. So if I make anyone as a moderator, they'll be able to have access to this moderation page, and they can come once in a day and accept all of the emails or decline all of the emails right here. Next up, similarly, we have spam settings even for a group. So if you want to block a domain or block an email address, you can do it right here. Next up, you can also assign an email policy for this particular group. And under permissions, you'll be able to see you can also set who can send emails to the group. So it can be anyone, even an external person. It can be only organization members, or it can be only group members or only moderators. All right. So if any email is sent, right now for this particular organization, I have only set the email permission as organization members only. So if any organization, if any email is being sent outside of the organization, it can either be held for moderator approval, or I can directly reject this email. All right. So similarly, I can also set a group alias. So it's very similar to an email alias. So basically, if I send an email to test123@zilker.com, it will be directly delivered to the group address, which is USA_support@zilker.com. Now, we have an auto response in a group. Whenever an email is sent to a group, an automated email can be sent to that particular person based upon the conditions here. A template can be drafted for each of this criteria, and based upon the sender, an auto response template will be sent automatically. We have email restrictions and email domain restrictions. So if you don't want that particular group to allow email addresses from that particular email, you can add it to this email restriction right here. Similarly, the domain restriction also works similar way. All right. Moving up to the next topic, we have data migration. In data migration, we have three types of protocols. You could ask me why a data migration is required. So let's just say your organization is previously being set up in another service provider, and when you're moving to Zoho Mail, you will not only move all of your users, but you will also require to move all of your users' data. In this case, you'll be able to do that with all these three protocols. So there's API migration, there's API migration, server to server migration, which is IMAP and POP, and we have an exchange migration wizard. We have already done appropriate webinars for these topics, and I'll ask my team to post those links in the chat section for your reference. All right. Next up, we have spam control. So you'll ask me, why is spam considered so important? And just for record, when a spam email is being delivered to any one of your organization's user, it may contain any malicious content, and your organization's data may be at risk, and even your privacy may have been compromised. All right. So let's see what are the common spam techniques. So there is email spoofing and email backscattering. Basically, what email spoofing is that many spammers in the internet send an email and make it appear so legitimate that it is being sent from that particular email address or that particular domain. So this email address or domain may not even belong to them. And even in this case, many people think that this is from a legitimate sender or from a legitimate organization, and people even respond to those emails. So that is what email spoofing is. So what is email backscattering? When spammers spoof an email or email address or a domain name, and let's just say if the recipient who the spammer is sending the email to rejects this email, all of the bounce messages are actually sent to the original email address and the original domain. So multiple rejections like this can lead to the domain being blacklisted. So we don't want to want that to happen. Am I right? So now let's look on how administrators can protect their organization with some basic spam settings. We'll see what email quarantine is. We'll see what spam whitelist and blacklisting is. We'll see what cousin domains are, and we'll see what display name fraudulent is. We'll also see what location, how we can mark emails based upon location and language as spam. We'll see what sender-based alerts are and what post-delivery spam check is. So to do all of that, you can go to Security and Compliance tab, and under Spam Control, the first option which you'll see here is Spam Process Type. So by default, the spam process type for your organization is going to be under Complete, which is nothing but switched on. So if you want to switch off this particular option, I always recommend you to do it, based upon a concern from your super admin or your admin, because once this is off, none of the system level spam filter will apply to any of your organization to any of the emails which is being delivered to your organization. All right. Now let's see what spam verification is. So basically, when you're setting up your organization in Zoho Mail, you would have set up the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Am I right? So based upon if email which are being received to an organization, if the SPF or the DKIM fails, you have an option to either reject it permanently or move it to quarantine. All right. Similarly, if the DMARC verification fails for that particular email, you can also choose it to you can also choose the email to either move it to spam or move it to quarantine. Then we have DNSBL verification. So what is a DNSBL? So basically, it is an external blocked list in the internet, and it actually is a list based upon the user's spam marking and abuse patterns, which is detected online. In that case, if any DNSBL verification is failed for that particular email, you can either move it to spam, reject it permanently or temporarily, or move it to quarantine. All right. Now, you might have a small doubt on what quarantine is. So it is very similar to group moderation. And over here, admins have a view over here where they can check. Yeah, if you can see here, I have the quarantine window open. All right. So basically, this is a view for admins where any email, if they fail the spam validations of your particular organization, this email gets delivered here. And as an admin, I can view this email. Sorry. Yeah, as an admin, I can view this email and I can validate it based upon the email headers over here. All right. And upon validation, I can either deliver it or deny it. All right. Now, moving back to spam control, we have allowed list, blocked patterns, trusted list, spam verification, and internationalized spam. So what is allowed list? Allowed list is basically, determining the email addresses and domains from which your organization can receive email. Even if an email address or a domain is being mentioned here, the basic spam checks will be done for that particular email address though. Next, we have block list. So you will be able to add email addresses here and add email addresses, domains, IP addresses, TLDs, and all such email and all such settings. So if you're able to add an email address right here, you'll be determining, you'll be blocking that particular email or a domain. And based upon your preference, you can either move it to quarantine, or you can move it to spam, or even you can even reject this particular email which is being sent from this particular domain or that particular email address, or even the IP address. Next, we have block patterns. So I can actually set a spam setting in my organization where if the email contains patterns such as insurance or CEO, or I can even block the emails based upon subject patterns such as leave request or issue identified. All right. In that case, if I receive emails of these sorts, a lot in my organization, I can actually add it right here. We have trusted list. Now, if I add an email address over here, you will ask me what's the difference between allowed list and trusted list. So if I basically add an email address here, none of the spam validations will happen for that particular email address or domain, and it will be directly sent and will be directly relayed to the inbox of my users. All right. But in allowed list, when an email address or a domain is mentioned here, basic spam checks will happen. All right. Next, internationalized spam. If I want to block emails based upon the language or a country, I can actually add it right here. So I can, if you see here, in my organization, I've blocked languages such as Arabic, Chinese, and Vietnamese. So if I receive email in these 3 languages, emails will be automatically blocked. Similarly for country. So if I choose, I don't want to receive emails from Algeria or China, I can mark it as spam right here. All right. Now, next up, we have, we can go to phishing and malware. All right. Under phishing and malware, you'll be able to see cousin domain, display name spoofing. So what are cousin domains? So let's just say I have, let's just take the example of Amazon. All right. So Amazon is, so let's just say I have emails being sent from this particular domain. All right. So if you can see here, it appears very similar to Amazon.com. But if you can see here, the Amazon is spelled with a 0 in the middle. So spammers actually try to spam many organizations in the internet and with similar lookalike domains. All right. So even if this domain looks very similar and can also look very legitimate, but these are not actual domains. All right. So if you add domains or these cousin domains right here, you'll be able to select the delivery action. You can either move it to spam or you can move it to quarantine. Next, we have display name spoofing. So let's just say I am the only Rebecca in my organization. All right. And if Rebecca is sending me an email, it should be either with she can only send me email with only 2 email addresses, correct? So, but I have been receiving emails from Rebecca, but with a different email address. So it's basically they're spoofing my display name. All right. In that case, if I add the display name here and add the email addresses with which Rebecca can send emails, if any other email is being sent with the display name Rebecca, it will be moved to quarantine or it can be moved to spam. All right. Now, next up, let's talk about email compliance policies. All right. So to set up your email compliance policy, you can go to mail settings and go to policies. Let's just say you have an organization and you have around 300 to 500 users, and in that users there are many users who might be interns. All right. So interns cannot have access and to all of the options in their Zoho Mail account. In that case, you can actually set up restrictions for that particular account. All right. You can see here, I've created multiple policies in my organization. And if I go to the intern policy, you can see here, here the maximum incoming and outgoing email size. I can actually define the incoming and outgoing email size of the users who are associated to this particular policy. All right. And under restriction, you'll be able to see email restrictions, account restrictions, access restrictions, and forward restrictions. All right. So if I go to email restriction, I'll be able to see all of the incoming domain. I can actually set the incoming domain restriction, outgoing domain restriction, and even the email address restriction and the attachment restriction. All right. Under account restriction, I'll be able to enable or disable these particular services. I can enable this feature or disable the feature where users can export and import emails. I can disable the feature where they can customize the signature, and similarly, I can also enable or disable their external account access via POP or IMAP. Next up, I have access restriction. Here, I'll be able to disable or enable features such as POP access, IMAP access, email forwarding feature. I can also, disable or enable the active sync and all such settings. Over here, I'll be able to determine all of the users who has to be, associated with this particular policy. And once I associate this particular user under this policy, all of the users who are under this policy, these restrictions and these settings will be automatically be populated in their account. I can also associate groups in that sort. All right. Next up, we have email retention and email backup. So what is email retention and what is email backup? Email retention is actually a process of retaining emails from all of your organization's accounts for a specific period, and these emails can either be deleted or be present in your organization. Okay, but these emails can actually be retained for compliance or even legal purposes. Next up, we have email backup. Email backup, let's just say one of your user accidentally deletes emails which are considered important. In this case, you can actually back up all of your emails from the admin console. I'll just show you how. So if you go to your admin console, you'll be able to see the option e-discovery. Okay, if you click e-discovery, you'll be able to see what the retention period which is being sent for your current organization. It can either be set forever or it can either be set for one particular period. If I go to data management, if I go to recovery, I can recover the emails from this page. So let me just give a name for this particular recovery. It can be Zoho Mail Rediscovery. And I can choose all user accounts, and I can select the period in which I want to recover the emails from. Okay, it can be last 3 months, last 6 months, and last month. All right, let's just click last 6 months. And the condition query, I can choose all of the condition, any of the condition from this particular page. Okay, let's just say I want to retain and recover all of the condition Zoho Mail, which contains Zoho Mail. All right. Let me also include the deleted. Let me also include the spam emails. And if I want to only recover the deleted emails, I can even click enable this option. Once I preview results, I'll be able to see all of the emails which are under this condition. All right. And upon this, I can even choose which emails I want to recover from this page. All right.